everyone, this is Outstar. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm greeting you with my new granny hair. I just came back from a hairdresser and this is what she left me with. I'm okay with that. I'm going to make a video today that I wasn't planning to do. As you guys probably know, I have a cyberpsychosis video for Cyberpunk in preparation right now, and I'm also answering your questions from the Q&A. So I was deep into editing both of those things, and then something happened that left me puzzled. So some of you may know this, but earlier this week or last week, I don't remember, something happened in terms of Cyberpunk leaks. There was someone at the closed E3 gameplay demo showcase that was recording the audio, and that audio was uploaded into the ether, which the internet is. It spread around, a lot of people listened to it, and they were able to hear what happened in the demo. And it was obviously taken down by CD Projekt Red, because you shouldn't really do that. And now from what I know about these recordings is that it was said out loud, one of the CD Projekt Red's employees said that please do not take pictures and do not record the video of this showcase. I'm not really sure what exact wording was used, some of you guys may know it better, but it wasn't probably said out loud, please don't stay here with a microphone and record the audio. Because super honestly, I don't think the developers were stupid/wise enough to realize that there might be someone actually standing there with a microphone and doing that. Because this is pretty freaking hilarious to do. So my thinking was, it was some kind of an anonymous person that was probably some young influencer, maybe a fan of the game that was really feeling bad about seeing this before all these people that wait for any drop of info about this game, like a freaking water in the middle of a desert. And maybe somehow with that agenda, approach this like, I am going to make this in secret, I'm going to publish it so other people are going to listen to it, and I'm going to remain anonymous throughout the whole process. It would never occur to me that that person would be not only a very experienced journalist from a gaming industry, a guy way older than me, and someone that wanted to use that to seek popularity, money, recognition. It was absolutely beyond my mind that someone would try to use this recording this way and thought it's a good idea, especially someone who is an experienced person from the industry. I'm going to make a reaction video because I did watch this video before, but I want to watch it with you guys. So without further ado, let's go.
There was a huge kerfuffle this week with, I know I talked on GameFace last week about how we had the audio from the Cyberpunk 2077 demo that I had recorded while I was at the demo, and I kind of asked you guys what you wanted me to do with it. You guys all said, hey, just throw it underneath some B-roll and we'll listen to it.
The first excuse this guy has is that some of his viewers told him to do that. Now, if you ever watched Twitch IRL, if you ever listened to YouTube comments, if you ever spent some time in the internet, you probably should know that it is not a wise idea to listen to random people in the internet. This guy thought that because some of his patrons, people who are actually giving him money, said that he should publish it, then he should. And this kind of makes him not guilty of the whole fact, right? Right?
And so that's what I did. We spent a lot of time sweetening the audio because I had recorded it with my iPhone. And so we threw it into an editing program and re-equalized all the audio, laid it all out in a timeline, looped a bunch of trailers and screenshots over top of it, put a disclaimer in the front of it, and put it up.
Okay, so this part is him telling on how much work he actually put into this, which later on, and you will hear this, goes into he had a part of a copyright on this kind of video. Now, you can go on YouTube and you can actually read the rules of fair use of things and how you can use specific parts of the video, for example, or some recordings in your videos for it to be under the fair use. For example, me right now commenting on this particular video and making a reaction to it, this is actually a fair use. But if I were to upload Lord of the Rings, a full movie, with equalizing the sound so it sounds immaculate, I could get copyright strike and it could get taken down. My whole channel could be taken down because I am really breaching the copyright laws in there. Even though I spent hours changing the audio so it's perfect, that would still be illegal.
And within 30 minutes, it was zapped by CD Projekt Red. They filed a copyright claim for it.
He says it like they didn't have rights to the audio. of their gameplay demo that was shown behind the closed doors for a selected group of people, and it was obviously under embargo, because if it wasn't, then the gameplay would be available for everyone else online right now. It didn't have to be written on paper for it to be quite clear, could it? Now let's think about it. If you are a movie journalist and you are invited to a premiere of a movie that is going to release to the public in a few months, are you standing there with your freaking iPhone and recording the whole audio of this movie just to release it online, and you demand a praise from that? No, not really. It's not a decent journalist, so people don't really do that.
Not only did they file a claim, so there's different kinds of claims. There's the claim we get almost every episode of Game Face, which is just like, hey, we know you put our stuff in the show, so don't monetize it. And that's not a big deal. But we got like a strike from CD Projekt Red, which means if you get like 3 of those within a certain period of time, your YouTube channel is deleted forever. So these kinds of strikes are a really, really big deal.
Oh my god, this is really bad. So you say, if I would take the audio from all the 3 movies of Lord of the Rings, the whole trilogy, and I would make this audio immaculate and perfect, and I would upload it to my YouTube, they would be mad at me? No.
So PR reached out to me and said, hey, we want you to take that down. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about this. Before I even finished sending that email, the video had already been taken down by CD Projekt Red on YouTube. I'm not even going to get into the fact that legally they really did not have a right to do that. I mean,
how did they not have legally the right to do that? You were sharing the audio from the closed conference that they were only letting certain people in. They didn't release the demo to the public. It's kind of like a paparazzi going to a private beach somewhere and trying to sneak some pictures of a Scarlett Johansson lying naked on the beach and trying to have some time alone. Also, he was very weirded out about the fact that his video was taken down before he even was able to talk about this. Why would he want to talk about this? Because the video was still on his channel then and he was monetized. So when he would be in the talks about this, the video would gain more and more views and he would ultimately get money from it.
That was recorded on public property.
On public property. The closed meeting that the whole E3 wasn't led to. It wasn't an open meeting in which every single attendant of E3 could go to. It was a closed meeting. Even if they didn't tell you properly that you shouldn't take a microphone or iPhone in there and record the audio of that and only forbid you to record the video, a basic human and journalist decency should tell you that.
It was not an NDA signed, but ultimately it is their copyright and their IP. So I understood their position. It was technically copyrights for us and for CD Projekt Red.
Okay, again, you equalize the audio to make it sound better so people can feel audio-wise that they are on this conference themselves, the closed conference that they weren't invited to. And you equalize the audio for it to sound clearer, and that makes you an owner of the copyright, a part of the copyright of that particular thing. I'm not really sure if YouTube would agree with you, but
essentially what it came down to is I did not want to ruin the relationship, 1 with CD Projekt Red, and 2 with the PR person that set me up with the demo, because I've literally known the guy for like 15 or 16 years.
Okay, so you were set up to go to this closed experience of the demo, only open to certain influencers. I saw people who are really amazing freaking faces from the gaming industry and influencer industry, like Admonition, people who had extensive knowledge about Cyberpunk, like Mad Queen, people who are really working their asses off around the Cyberpunk as a theme to be let in there, and you got there because you know a person involved in CD Projekt Red for 15 to 16 years. And then you do shit like this. It's not your thing anymore, man. Your friend let you in, the person who was actually working in CD Projekt Red made you go there, set you up with the invitation. It's kind of like my friend would throw a party, and I would really like to take my friend with me, knowing that my friend can be sometimes weird, but that's okay. My friend comes with me to a party, and then he shits on the table, puts the pencils inside this poop, and tells everyone at the party that this is his hedgehog teddy and please don't move it anywhere. How would I feel? I would feel guilty towards the host that I brought a person like that to the party, because that was kind of my fault. I will try my best not to be overly negative, because I don't think that calling you names or being this trollish person in the industry is a good way to deal with stuff like that. But there are some things that should be called out, and that's really one of these things.
It wasn't worth it to us to burn those bridges, to repost it on our servers. I couldn't repost it on YouTube because all they were going to do is just zap it again.
It sounds like if he could repost it from YouTube, he would actually do it. Because that freaking monetization, right?
Someone downloaded the YouTube video and then ripped the audio out of it and then posted it on some corny like audios. I've never even seen that website before that they posted those files on.
It's like you would have a wife called Mary, and Mary would find out in your internet history that you're browsing Tumblrs with very weird content. And then when the IT guy would came to solve the situation, you would say like, oh, a Tumblr, oh, that's a corny website. No, I have nothing to do with it. I don't know what this website is. Like this kind of stuff, like listen to this.
Corny like audios. I've never even seen that website before that they posted those files on.
I don't even see that website that they posted this file on. The facial expressions, they say everything, but okay.
And then it was pointed to by some small website that was then pointed to by PC Gamer, and it became this thing that we never got credit for and ended up getting no benefit for whatsoever. In fact, it ended up all to our detriment.
There we go. That's the thing that I was going to talk about since the very beginning of the video. Because again, if that would be an anonymous person that really had this agenda within, I can't stand all these gamers that are waiting there for a drop of information about Cyberpunk, while we, the privileged people, we are able to get it before them. I am going to be the rebel my people need. I am going to publish the audio or even the video of this conference somewhere. Of course, I wouldn't personally ever give them kudos for that decision. But if that agenda was behind this, the agenda of I want to remain anonymous, but I want to share this information with people, I wouldn't make this video. If someone would ask me about it, I would say that it was kind of like a shitty move, but I wouldn't really be so mad that I am right now, because I am salty. But that's not a problem, because this guy is more salty. This particular part, it says clearly, and you can see it from the sound of his voice, and you will see it later in the video, his biggest concern is that he had this marvelous idea. Hey, I am the only person that came up with the idea to record the demo, but then I didn't get money from that, and I'm very mad.
Because now our relationship with CD Projekt Red and this PR guy, who I respect very much, is a little shaky, and we got absolutely nothing out of it.
You know, the relationship with a guy I know for 16 years that led me into this closed meeting and let me be there while I broke his trust and I betrayed him and did that, it's kind of shaky, but we didn't get any benefit from it.
Most of you guys never got to listen to it, because it was taken down within 30 minutes, and somebody else ended up uploading it, and the story ran all over the internet, and no one ever said, hey, this was Sifted that did this, or Shane Satterfield that did this.
Okay, I'm going to be a good person in here. Everyone, Shane Satterfield did this. Sifted did it. They did it. You can check him out. There's like the Patreon.
A lot of people called it a leak. It was not a leak. I realize using the word leak is a lot sexier for a headline on your website or for your message board post. It was not a leak. I didn't go in and hide a microphone underneath a chair or anything like that. I walked in and stood there and recorded it on my phone in front of everybody. Yes,
everybody for sure knew that you're recording it. You had an iPhone in your hands. Of course, if you had like an iPhone like this, and if you would be like recording this whole conference like that, then probably someone would come to you and tell you, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Stop this. But you were standing like this. It's human decency to not look at the screen in here. Maybe you had this big red button in there, like record, maybe. I don't know. It's decency that no one like looked in your phone and know that you're recording. You know what? I wonder why wouldn't he actually go to CD Projekt Red people? Because they were available to talk on this conference. There were a lot of people taking selfies with them. So if people could just approach them and ask some questions, why wouldn't he ask if he could record the audio? Maybe because he couldn't, and they would say no.
Today, I saw on a podcast, somebody, I'm not going to say who, said whoever did that is an a-hole. And said, Again, I'm not going to say who it was, but they called me an a-hole not knowing I was the one who did it.
Just to make it clear, I am totally not approving of anyone calling people names like that. And I'm not trying to cause a witch hunt in there. And everyone who would do such a thing, I would criticize, because I don't think it's cool. What I want is a very reasonable discussion about what is good and what is not, and why this kind of behavior shouldn't be approved. So again, guys, if you are going to comment on this particular video, try to be civil. Try to be honest to your own opinion, but civil.
This person, by the way, makes their living off video game publishers and developers by hosting events from video game publishers and developers. So I can see where their perspective might be, that's an a-hole-ish thing to do. This person's not a journalist.
Okay, so he says that only journalists can have an opinion on that. If you're a game developer, if you're a gamer, if you're basically anyone else, an influencer, you can't really have an opinion because this is a journalist thing to do and a journalist thing to understand. I'm going to go back to this.
Not a convergence, a butting of the heads of someone who is a journalist. I mean, I don't want to call myself a journalist. That's for somebody else to say. But I've been trained to be a journalist, and I've been taught to handle things a certain way. And I've handled my business the last 20 years in this industry that way, the way I was taught and trained to do it.
Were you like training in the paparazzi school? Because I'm not really sure what kind of a school is that. I think that my opinion on this particular subject could be somehow tolerated by this guy, but obviously as it's negative, I think it shouldn't. I was actually publishing the articles about games in the paper press. So basically, the most classic way of doing journalism. I was publishing for the Polish magazine Pixel, and some of you guys who are from Poland and you were buying Pixel, you probably saw me in that magazine a while ago. I was also reviewing games for GOG.com that were landing up on their sites, and as you know, they have a creators program, so not every game lands up there, so they have a team of reviewers in which I was for 3 years trying to get good games on the site only. And I think we did a pretty good job. So I think I can have a saying on this particular topic, and as much as I wouldn't call this guy an a-hole, because that's not my style, I can openly say that yes, I am absolutely criticizing this guy for what he did. Breaching the trust of a friend, breaching the trust of a developer, doing this to clearly gain wealth, gain popularity, gain viewers, gain followers, because he's very blatant about this in this video, sounds to me like a bad thing to do in general. And I think it's understandable.
And the way I was taught and trained is you have to work to maximize the assets that you are afforded to create news or things that people care about and want to read or watch.
Yeah, so you know what people really would care for? They would really care if they could actually play Cyberpunk demo themselves in their own homes. So I wonder if that friend of yours, the 15, 16 years friend that you know, would give you a CD and say, don't put it on the torrents because we don't want people to play it now. Just, you can play it yourself. This guy would put it on Dropbox.
I didn't break any rules. No one told me I wasn't allowed to record the audio.
If he would be a decent person, again, he would approach the CD Projekt Red employee and he would ask, dude, can I freaking record the audio? Of course he didn't, because of course he knew he would hear no.
People saw me recording the audio. No one seemed to care.
People saw you with your phone, like this. Am I recording the audio right now? No one paid attention to you, obviously. There was a freaking best game of a decade right in front of their faces. Who would look at you in a meeting like that, next to people like, again, Ammunition, Mad Queen, amazing journalists from all over the industry? We are in a decent atmosphere with amazing people around us. And we do not have to pay attention to some freaking guy in the corner that poops in there. Because this kind of a thing wouldn't happen.
Also, for whatever reason, no one else seemed to have the foresight to do it except for me, because no other recordings have popped up.
No one had the foresight to do this, guys. You know what? No one had the indecency to do that. Everyone was decent enough in there to know, to realize that it's something that you shouldn't do.
I just did what I was trained to do. I was trained to take assets that I had and create something that people wanted to read or watch, and I did that.
Again, people would really want to play that demo if you put it on Dropbox. So I think that's exactly what the true gaming journalism is. Just do it.
Unfortunately, the way this industry works anymore, people just aren't used to it.
Yeah, people are not used to it anymore, maybe. I'm not really sure how it was back in your days, but in my days, you have influencers, you have internet, you have a lot of independent gaming journalism talking about each other, and if someone is doing something shady that people are not really into, they're going to talk about it out loud. And the people who watch us, they can decide who is right in their opinion. So I think it's only normal to try our best as journalists, influencers, people with opinions, spreading them around, to be decent, to strive to be objective, and be a good link in between developers and gamers. Both good to developers and to gamers. Don't be an asshole. Sorry for using this word. I'm not saying that you are, but don't try to be an asshole to these two groups. And I honestly think that the internet will be a little bit of a healthier place if we try to do these things too.
Like, it was very interesting to deal with CD Projekt Red, who, by the way, ended up being awesome. They ended up removing the strike on YouTube and emailed me and said, look, we know we screwed up here. This is at least partially our fault.
Is this their fault because they didn't say explicitly that the audio recording is illegal? Or what exactly? Because this doesn't sound very legit to me. He's trying to shift blame first on the people, his viewers, that told him to upload it. Then on how no one else did it, so he had to. Then on that he's a good journalist, a true journalist, and this is what true journalists do. And then that this was partly a CD Projekt Red fault. What?
So they were totally cool with it. They got it. They requested that I help them, like, kind of fish around and take down links, which I have done for like the last few days.
They were totally cool about it, but it's not like they specifically contacted me about it and also put a claim on my video so they can quickly take it offline. But they were totally cool about it. It's not like they told me, please help us remove the stuff that you put out there in the internet right now. Now the mess is done already. We gotta clean the shit up and you're going to help. No, they're cool about it. It's like, nah.
But I think this has just been one of the most blatant cases to me of it's hard to be a journalist in this industry anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very hard to be a journalist in this industry if your way of doing journalism is considered unethical for the recipients, for people around you. Absolutely.
I feel like Kotaku does a good bit of it. Kotaku breaks legitimate stories where it's not just handed to them on a platter. But there's not much of it left.
Klepek does it still.
Patrick Klepek over at Waypoint does it sometimes.
Okay. I didn't react to Kotaku because I did it. But to Waypoint, I gotta. A lot of my viewers have this habit of sending me articles from the gaming industry in general from my Discord. We have a special channel for that, and they send me them to kind of like fish my reaction and to see how I would react to them. And as much as for Kotaku and Polygon, I gotta say, recently it went a little bit better than it was back in the days. I think they are slowly trying to shift into a good direction with some fuck-ups here and there. But it's a little bit better than it was a few years ago. Then Waypoint is going the exactly opposite way. And the guy that they're mentioning in this video, yeah, he's an author of amazing articles. Like, most video games are too long. Agony, a game about the humanizing woman, isn't just bad, it's toxic. And my favorite, an answer to the biggest mystery in A Way Out. Where does the poop go? Of course, Klepek had some good articles out there, but if you have this amount of articles which are utterly clickbaity and low in quality as well, then it could be probable that his CEO at the company tells him, hey Klepek, you haven't written about poop or dehumanizing women in video games in 2 months now. We are getting little clicks. You gotta put it down. And Klepek is like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Jason Schreier does it at Kotaku, but otherwise, it's just like a barren wasteland.
He mentioned two people. He mentioned Klepek and Jason Schreier, and all the other journalists out there, it's just a barren wasteland. We have an amazing amount of journalists out there. And he mentions these two names, and this is all that there is. And now again, Jason Schreier, a person that did a lot of decent articles. But then again, he's the author of the super famous Dragon's Crown article that was pointed out everywhere across the internet as one of the examples of bad game journalism. And even his own words that he said back in the days, that nobody at Kotaku has ever claimed or will ever claim to be objective. Objectivity is a silly thing to strive for. Now, obviously, no person can be objective. You cannot be fully objective about a certain thing, whether you're a gaming journalism or not. There's just no way. But whether or not you should strive for the objectivity is a totally different thing. Because let's say that you were never really into Souls-like games, and you were really bad at them, and you never really felt what the whole deal is about. Or your opinion about some kind of a thing is very polarized, which Kotaku, Polygon, and Waypoint very often does. And you are tasked to do an article about the Souls-like games. Well, the first thing, if you are really honestly objective about your own work and about yourself, you should say, you know what, there's another person in the office which knows these games more than I do, and that person should cover it. But if you are forced to do this yourself, then you reach out to other people before writing, you do some research, you ask both sides of some kind of a conflict on what's going on. Again, might be wrong, a lot of people have a different opinion than mine. A lot of people think that the journalism is more of a blog thing, where you are literally talking about yourself, about your day. Because there are a lot of articles on this website that just literally start with, I woke up this morning and I had a very bad day. And like, they're talking about themselves a lot. In my opinion, this is not the true journalism, but you may have yours, man.
There's this environment that's been created in our industry where if you actually try to be a real journalist, you're going to end up getting chided for it.
No, you were chided for? Is that the kind of a word he used? I'm sorry, I'm not a native English speaker. Because you did something that was considered unethical.
Not only chided by people who aren't journalists, but also by people who claim that they are journalists. And I have news for you, you're not. If you're taking money from a video game publisher or a video game developer to host their shows, you're not a journalist. You're on the take, you're a shill.
I'm a shill, guys. Because I did take money back in the days for some sponsored streams which are fully accredited that this particular stream is a sponsored stream I'm doing on my channel. And no one else, unless you had a master's degree in journalism, you work for 20 years in gaming journalism, etc., is able to criticize this guy. Because if you are, then you're a shill. It kind of reminds me of a situation I had in school. In high school, I had the art lessons with a woman that I absolutely hated. She was the worst. And I was obviously going to go to the art university, so that was one of the most important subjects for me. And I was very much into concept art, digital art, graffiti, basically the modern types of art. She believed that all of these kinds of art are not the real art. When I told her that she's obviously wrong, she answered that I cannot tell her that she's wrong because the only people who can tell her that she's wrong is people with a master's degree of art. I have a master's degree of art right now. Woman, you're wrong.
And you've made the decision to do that, that's fine. But accept it. Don't try to play, I'm journalist now, I'm going to tell another journalist how they should do their business, or I'm going to call that journalist a name. Just admit that, hey, I'm willing to make money being a host however I can, and I'm going to let the other people do that stuff, and I'm not going to criticize them for it.
This guy is delusional in a lot of ways. Not only because he thinks that only journalists can tell him that he was wrong, and there are obviously a lot of journalists out there that told him exactly that. He doesn't acknowledge this. But also that he still calls himself a real journalist. When you're a movie journalist and you're invited to the premiere of the movie, you're not supposed to record the audio and just send it edited for people so it has a better sound. Is that a journalism? Is that what journalism is about?
So I took umbrage with the person calling me an a-hole, even though they didn't know I was the one who did it, just off the cuff, when this person in particular is very well known in the industry for basically pay for play, payola. I'm going to go host your thing, now you give me 10 G's or whatever.
He's so salty about it. He talks about it for how many minutes right now?
CD Projekt Red was great about this and very understanding about it, and it's just not worth it to me at this point to do it. So do I regret that I had a scoop and then we lost it? Absolutely. This could have been a game changer for Sifted, in all honesty.
What would be a better question? Did you regret breaching the trust of your friend and betraying him ultimately to get into this place and do something that he wouldn't approve of? Was it worth it to be called unethical by so many people from the industry, by so many of your viewers? Was it worth getting so much bad reputation in the industry and probably cause you to not be invited to such events in the future because people are just afraid that you're going to leak the stuff? No, you know what's important? It wasn't worth it because we didn't get money out of it. I am speechless. If you didn't get by now why I'm salty about this video, you should get it at this point.
When I realized that I was the only one that had the audio, because it was like 4 days after the show had ended. And I knew other sites had more resources than we did, and it took me a while to get around to it. I knew if another site had it, they would put it up right away.
But they didn't, because they haven't, because they were decent enough to not do that.
So I knew by the time we went to publish ours, I knew no one else had it. And I knew it could have just been huge for us. It could have drawn so many eyeballs to the site, so many eyeballs to GameFace, to whatever. It could have been a total game changer for us.
Again, he's not talking about whether it was ethic or not to do, because he was calling himself this true game journalist for the whole time. He's only talking about popularity and money throughout this whole freaking thing. And that's sad.
And it wasn't a malicious thing. It was, I had the foresight to do it. I had the idea of how to implement it, and no one else did. It was just one of those cases that could have been a magic bullet for us, and it all got screwed up, and it did nothing for us ultimately.
And if you thought that this guy is not salty up until this point of the video, I think this clearly shows how salty he is. Not about this whole reaction, not because someone calls him an a-hole, it's because they didn't get the popularity and money they were supposed to get from it.
That's the story. That's what happened with the audio for Cyberpunk 2077. To the people out there who did get to listen to it, I'm happy for you guys.
Yeah, they will be happy about playing the game. Again, I'm telling you guys, the Dropbox idea is amazing.
You guys got to hear the voice acting for the game for the first time. You got to hear the weapon reports for the first time. You got to hear CD Projekt Red describe the demo and all the details about the demo for the very first time. You got to hear the music for the very first time.
He doesn't realize that in this particular case, because of the close nature of the meeting, it wasn't his thing to say. The release of the music, the release of the voice acting, the release of all this information that he mentioned, this is up to the developer. This is up to CD Projekt Red on when they want to do that, the opportunity to do it in their own way. He basically stole this opportunity from the developer so he can get some views on his video.
And try to take it
I
down.
feel like there's a lot of salty dogs out there right now who are like, why didn't I think of that? Well, you didn't. And so instead of lashing out at us, even though you may not even know it was us that did it,
Who is the salty duck in here?
maybe you should start thinking critically about your coverage next time instead of saying, oh, they told me I could do this, they told me I could do that, and I could only post it at Thursday at 1 a.m.
Well, I can think critically about my coverage of the demo. Everyone knows it was amazing.
Think for yourself. Like, be a journalist. Think critically about your job.
Think critically about your job. Are you thinking critically about your job, man? After everything you heard from other people, after all this backlash that your decision caused, and you're still not having a little decency to think, you know what, I regret to do that because I think it was stupid. The only thing you say, I regret that because I didn't get money out of it.
Think about your assets and what you have access to and be creative with them instead of just falling in line like a lemming, which is really honestly what the majority of the press is at this point. The fact that I got like any flack from anybody who calls himself a journalist over this is pathetic. So that's it. That's what happened. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
And he's sticking to it because he's so sure that he did a good thing in the end. You guys judge this. That was my opinion about this whole case. I might be wrong and some people may not agree with me. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. The Q&A answering and the CyberSetcases video are still coming. I'll do my best to provide you with the fresh content soon. I just had to do that. I hope you guys understand. Thank you so much. Subscribe if you like more of this, and cheers. Bye.